So, Sasha,
Yes, Andy.
is your top hobby tip?
I would say if you can set aside some space, that means that you don't have to pack up and like sort of prepare and pack up
Yeah.
when you paint. Because I a couple of years ago, my wife was getting up quite early, and so I ended up having sort of 45 minutes before I had to go to work. And I had a little hobby space, and sitting down every morning and doing 30-40 minutes of painting
Yeah.
was amazing for two things. One is it was really good for my mental health. I was going into work going, I have painted an orc, so I don't care, how badly the day goes. I can fall back on that, right? And also my painting ability just leapt ahead because I did that. I think it was about 5 or 6 months, and really, I could really see it improve. And it's amazing how much you can get done in that time. I mean, it's where I painted a lot of my Dungeons and Dragons models for the Dream Amount.
I remember you did like a hashtag morning paint job or something.
That was it, yeah, the morning paint job.
Yeah.
And it was just also, and I didn't always have a particular thing that I'd work on. I literally had a pile of models, and I would sometimes just go, pick one up and paint that. And I think that the secret to all of that, was that I didn't have to get out my brushes, get out my my paints, go and fill the cup with water, find some tissue, get the desk lamp set up, put down my lucky gonk, and by the time you've done all that, if you've got to pack it all away again, you're done. So what actually ends up happening is you don't start. You go, I've only got half an hour, I can't do any painting.
Yeah.
And so if you can figure out how to do that, then I think that's
I am like many Londoners, strapped for space. So I would have a tray.
Yeah.
I just pick up the tray and put it on the table. So my table I can pick up.
Perfect.
Cupboard. And take it out. I would love to have paint racks, but everything I need is on a tray. My current project, brushes.
And that's it. And that's all it takes. And I mean, Toby sort of introduced me to the idea of like a more limited palette, which I've been playing around with as well, which is really fun. Which is just to go, right, I'm painting this warband, these group of orcs, these 3 trolls with just 4 colors.
Yeah.
And while you're working on that, you don't need to be rummaging around in your paint box and things like that. Obviously, one of those 4 colors is Null Noil or Agrex Earthshade, but so really 3 colors. But yeah, playing around with things like that can really, and it speeds you up because you haven't got that much choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, the idea of a tray is brilliant.
What's your best hobby tool?
So it's kind of a bit boring because it's my lamp in a way. My eyes are not.
I think I speak very at home when I say I love lamp.
I love lamp. Yes, yeah. I love candle, and carpet. But definitely, I went from having classic desk lamp to Maplin ring hobby lamp to now I've got a massive bar lamp, and that makes a huge difference. That really my eyes are brilliant, so it makes a huge difference having all that diffuse light around. And actually there was I saw a video on it today. Luke's Geek Gaming, Luke's affordable paint service, he just did a video on something that he's using, which is literally just an LED block that's suspended on a monitor stand, and
Yeah.
that looked amazing. I mean, that's like, that's like an 18th level lighting setup.
I need to get that sorted out. In my house, I have just the ambient lighting of the light in the room,
Yeah,
and to romance.
yeah,
So, which makes my mom look better because I can't really see them as well when
yeah,
I'm painting. But I have to.
yeah,
I should definitely. I have to take them to the kitchen to get a proper look at them and
yeah,
come back.
yeah. No, I can't recommend that enough.
Yeah.
That really helps. I mean, otherwise, null oil and Agrex earthshade.
Cool.
You know,
Thanks. How do you stay motivated, Sasha?
I'm not very good at staying motivated. I'm very good at becoming motivated, but maintaining motivation is a struggle for me. Um, I do things like if I'm paint. So I painted a green tide, which is like a large orc 40k orc
Yeah.
force, and I basically had 5 weeks, and I had 136 models to paint, and I did them in batches of 5 because if I could see more than 5, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then it got to a tipping point where I had so many done that was helping me be
Yeah.
motivated. It's like, oh my god, I've
Yeah.
got like 70 done,
Yeah.
and that helps. Um, watching other people's videos, like kind of. There's this guy on YouTube called Goober Town, and he's got this amazing way, but he talks about speed painting and not overly worrying. But yeah, I mean, I think it's because I like telling a story. If I can think about a story that involves lots of models, then that helps me because then I'm like, I want to tell this story with my horde. Whereas if I'm like, I've got this story, but it's really about one character, and I've got these 50 models to paint for it. It's like, how does that work?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that helps. But I also I've got to a point where I generally find painting models to be meditative.
Yeah.
Um,
No, definitely.
yeah, so it's good for my mental health, and obviously one of the things with mental health is that quite often when you're not in a very good place, you're demotivated to do the things that help you get to a good place, and
Yeah.
that's often things like exercise and things that are good for you. So it can be difficult, but it does help keep a level and
I find
that.
completing projects as well, like actually
Yeah,
finish, a huge boost
yeah,
to me. Okay, right, it's done, and that actually motivates me more for the next one.
yeah,
I would always say if you're looking at your projects going, oh, I don't know what to do,
yeah,
the one that's closest to being finished,
yeah, yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I think, and that's a really good point because I think actually the one really good thing about doing the Orc army was um, it was the first army that I'd painted when I didn't do anything else during those
Yeah.
5 weeks, as you can imagine, and but it was the first army I've painted without other distractions.
Hmm.
And it made me go, I can actually do it.
Yeah.
It's because all the armies I'd done before, I had like 2 or 3 other armies on the go, and I wasn't entirely satisfied with them. And often what happened is that I, you know, I started painting them, and then a year later I finished painting them, and the difference in my ability over that year was so marked that there were units that I was just like, I don't want to use that unit. It's embarrassing, oh God.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it said you should always leave the HQ units to the end. Like,
Yeah,
gone for a whole army, like right now I know exactly how to do the color.
yeah. Although you need to reward yourself. I mean, I find that I need to reward myself sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm that animal brain needs a bit of a reward, and painting the one model you're particularly looking forward to every so often can help.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, Sasha, tell
Yes.
me about your favorite game.
So, are we talking about instance or rule system?
Rule systems.
Okay. I mean, the game that I have spent most of my life playing is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And I think that the fifth edition, which is the latest edition, is masterful in its ease to pick up. It's internally coherent. I'm not very good at remembering rules and learning rules. So basically, it used to be in Dungeons and Dragons that you had this thing called an armor class, and it went down. So it got better by going down, and like demons had armor class -3, which is like really, really difficult to hit. But it bore no relationship to the number I had to roll, whereas your saving throws were the number that you had to roll.
Yeah.
And fifth edition has tied it. I mean, I suppose third edition tied that up, but fifth edition has made it all very coherent, and I really like that. I'm very comfortable in that world. So it would be easy to say Dungeons and Dragons and fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons. There's another game system that I absolutely love, which I don't get to play very often at all, which is Ars Magica, which is where you play relatively powerful wizards, all of you, and then you create your henchmen, and you sometimes play your henchmen if your wizard isn't the right wizard for the job and things like that. I quite like that troop style play where you're also organising a kind of wizards conclave and all those kinds of things. I like I said, I quite like Dragon Rampant because it's so straightforward and so simple from a wargaming point of view. I really like Frostgrave because it's really swingy. I love the fact that a knight can run up to a thug, and the thug can just slip a knife between his ribs and kill him because it has no initiative system, which I kind of like. I think Age of Sigmar is kind of underrated. I think there's a lot of subtlety to it that people, particularly to do with the fact that weapons have got different ranges, and that troops of different units can be close to each other. So you can literally have a line of people with swords and shields, and behind them a line of people with spears, and the spear people can jab between, and so you get that whole. You can do stuff like that, but I don't think people realise that. I certainly didn't realise that for a while. And then Gumshoe, I like very narrative. It's narrative role playing is great. But the thing is that I don't necessarily. I think people get a bit too kind of caught up on role playing rule systems. In our Dreamerman group, we've had multiple sessions where there's been no dice at all. Really, they've been gathering dust because it's just been talking, it's just been plotting, it's just been role playing, it's just been reacting to circumstances. They're at a point where they have agency. The fighters know no military theory, so I'm not going to make them roll. That seems pointless. And the wizards know about spells, so I think it's easy to think that you have to always go along with the rules. For me, it's kind of a level of simplicity with options is what I look for.
Yeah.
And if I had one criticism of Dragon Rampant is I feel it's almost got not quite enough options. It would be nice to have a few more options.
Cool.
But yeah.
Sounds good. Try them all out, guys.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Do try them out. And I played the Earworm game, which is the bolt action stroke Gates of Antares fantasy game.
Yeah, the Warlord one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, really, really like that. I think what that lacks is they've gone for the classic generic fantasy setting, and I think it's a rule system that's strong enough to have invested a bit more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some great, there's great some Gaslands, and stuff like that. brilliant. Lots of really good systems out there.
Good systems. So, what game do you fancy playing in the future? Is there anything on your horizon you're like, oh, that looks tasty, I want to try a game of that? Monopoly.
So have you ever played Block Wars Monopoly?
No.
So Block Wars Monopoly is a really simple addition to Monopoly, which is a tedious game. And basically, you also call it, you either call it block. It depends on whether you're a 2000 AD fan or you want to be political. You can either call it Block Wars Monopoly or Class War Monopoly. And basically, what happens is that if you own a street, you can attack the next street. And you roll a dice, and if you've got, you add one for each street you have in that color.
Yeah.
And then basically what happens is it's because of the way the board is structured. You start off in the poor area, and it's basically the working class rising up and storming Mayfair, which is just brilliant, and it makes it a lot more fun. But you can also call it Block Wars Monopoly, in that it's obviously the idea of you have these housing districts that are so vast that they're almost city-states and that they fight each other. It's the only way to make Monopoly vaguely playable. But yeah, anyway.
But what other games are there?
Completely distracted. I played a couple of games of Adaptus Titanicus, and I definitely want to try that properly. It didn't click yet, and I could tell that there's a good game in there. I want to do that, but it's basically waiting for Toby to force me to play again, because he will. But yeah, I think. There's just so many. There's just so many. Brilliant. Oh, yeah. There is. There's the Lyonesse RPG coming out, which is another Jack Vance book. Goodman Games is doing their version of The Dying Earth. I'm a big fan of Goodman Games' Dungeon Crawl Classics system. There's a game called Spire, which is a really interesting game around. There's this giant tower that's run by high elves, and you play drow who are sort of downtrodden, and it's very political and social and stuff like that. I'd like to give that a go, which I haven't. I think, the list is endless with me, but yeah,
all the games.
Yeah, Oathmark. I'd like to give Oathmark a go, see what it's like.
People were talking about A Billion Suns, which is a space.
Oh game. yeah. That's it's always interesting for me, space games, because unlike the sea, space is 3-dimensional.
I always think that. Well,
it is that thing of the suspension of belief.
I know Drop Fleet, the space game for Drop Zone Commander, got around it in that you were in low orbit.
Yeah.
So you're over a planet. So that's why it's not quite. So it's still 3D, and you have the 3 different levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I want to play that, and I get round the not buying models for that by printing models on a resin printer.
Yes.
Yes.
Easy.
Yeah.
What's your favourite club memory, Sasha?
There's so many. I have to say, it is difficult. There's some from the early days of when it was just the kind of sort of 7 of us going up to Warhammer World and causing spontaneous wargs across the entire.
Yeah.
I have to say, it feels a bit like a humble brag, but when we did that a Zone Mortalis game, and it was me against 16 Primaris lieutenants, that was so much fun. That was such a good laugh. I really, 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 really enjoyed that. Everyone really got into the spirit of it. That was a real kind of hate thing.
Yeah.
You know, the yeah. I mean, I've just had so many. I've had so many good games that
Yeah.
it's ludicrous, really, when you think about when I think about the quality of games that I play when I go to events. And actually, one of the reasons why I kind of really don't go to events anymore unless it's a doubles event
Yeah.
is because two of those 5 games, because usually it's 5 games, two of those 5 games will be pretty awful.
Yeah.
At least if I'm playing, you know, with a compadre,
Yeah.
I'm going to have a good time with that person. But when I can't think of bad games I've had at Hey, you know, and it's always been because the people I'm playing with, even if it's a bad game and you know, it's either I'm winning and it's really unfair, or I'm losing and it's really unfair, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's always fun because of who I'm playing.
I
You know?
can't think of a bad game I've played. I must
Yeah,
be
yeah,
in all the years. So
yeah.
your favorite memory of Hate is every memory.
Well, that's it. There are so many. It's very difficult to
To choose one.
very choose one. I think we had a leaving do for or birthday for Tim Bennett where we all played a Frostgrave game. That was, you know, I mean, you know, drunk soon to be dad Tim that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break now. We're going to have the big 4 questions and then the extra one from Mirror just after a quick break.
I look forward to it.
We're back with the big, most important questions. Sasha, are you comfortable? Are you ready? I know
I'm really
a long
stretching.
only ones we really care about.
Tell you what,
Really challenge you.
I'll put the all-seeing eye on.
And I.
There we go. Right, I'm ready.
Bit of a hobby question to start with. What is your favourite paint and why is it Null Oil?
I love Null Oil. I love Agrex Earthshade. I really like the Sigmarite Gold because it's a one-coat gold, and that's just a thing of wonder to me.
Yeah.
Recently I got I really like the contrast paints. They are amazing.
Yeah.
And you can use them to do really detailed stuff, and they're a really good base coat for doing stuff over, or they're just your one coat. And you know, if you want to smash out something, they're great for that. Also, there's I think it's Scale 75 do an ink tense range, which is.
I was looking at those today, and I thought to myself, find out more about them. So, do you have those already?
I do, yes, and they're a little bit like contrast paints, but they have a higher pigment kind of level.
Because Andy talking about Andy Rue. Hi, Andy Rue.
Andy.
How he didn't use washes anymore, but he did use inks, and I wish I'd asked him then.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
So the ink tense range is slightly different in that they are incredible. They're incredibly high density acrylic liquid. So you know, like a paint is a bit gloopy, but these are very liquid. They're not quite water, but they're not far off.
Yeah,
incredibly high density. So you'd have to add them to a medium to kind of use them as a wash.
Yeah.
The Winsor & Newton, the classic square glass jars, Winsor & Newton inks, I really like, but they're water soluble, so you have to be a bit careful with them.
Yeah.
I use the Indian ink black a lot because it's ever so slightly shiny and ever so slightly translucent.
Yeah.
So it's great on guns to give a really dark, like you paint a gun silver and then paint it with black Indian ink.
Yeah.
And it's auto perfect edge highlighting, very subtle. It's great for that. But the intense range is really good for kind of spell effects and stuff like that. Toby will talk about them. They're really good. Really good. He was the one who put me onto those.
Yeah. Well, then there was the shiny Null Oil, which is obviously my favourite.
Yeah.
fine for putting over metallics, and you get a nice shiny,
Yeah,
oily look to
yeah,
them.
yeah. So the Winsor & Newton black ink is like that times 10.
Times 10.
You don't get a lot come through, but you get a bit.
Yeah.
So, for example, say you wanted to paint a black leather coat. If you painted it grey or base coated it grey or
Yeah.
sort of like a brown, and then painted the Indian ink over it, what you'd end up with is a shiny leather coat that in just in a few raised areas had that little bit of colour coming through.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to look into this and learn a bit more. Sounds good. Next big question, and this might be the biggest question.
Okay.
Sasha, what's your favourite dice?
Oh, so my favourite physical dice is I have a marble D20, which
Heavy.
is it's heavy. It's white and blue. I bought it for Frostgrave, and Toby hates me using it because it rolls quite well.
Those air bubbles.
Yeah, exactly. But my favourite, I think there's in Dungeon Crawl's Classics, there's a D24, which is quite a fun dice. There's also D1000, the Luzakini D1000 dice, which is legendary.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like odd shaped dice.
Odd shaped dice.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one, what would it be?
Yeah, it would probably be the D24.
D24. There you go, guys.
Yeah.
Unexpected. D24.
Yeah.
I thought for sure it'd be a D20, Sasha.
Well, I like to turn it up a couple of notches.
Yeah. Unexpected. Yeah. An extra 4.
Extra four. Yeah.
So it goes to 20, but this goes 4.
It goes 4 higher. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bards.
Oh.
Yay.
Do you know I've only ever played one bard, and it would have been in about probably 1991, and it was a very heroic bard, and an NPC was dragged beneath the sands, and it was pretty clear that it was that they were gonna die. And I grabbed her hand and went into the sands with her, and so I played him for 2 sessions.
Yeah.
I think the thing about playing a bard is that you, as a player, you have to know when to grandstand and when to let somebody else have a turn.
Yeah.
It can
be playing every time.
Yeah, it is. But the thing about a bard is your job is to grandstand. So it's like if you're just somebody who doesn't have an off switch, it's like it's an enabler for bad behavior. However, if it's played by somebody who understands comic timing, it's fantastic.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but that's not me. So
Okay, second to last question. Penultimate. The
penultimate question. Dun dun dun.
Mimics.
Well, as you asked that, my lampstand just laughed. So I don't know if there was that joke, which is, I thought they were going to be mimicking this adventure, but we didn't see any. And the dwarf laughed, the elf laughed, and the table laughed. So a funny story about mimics. There was a day or 2 days. I was working over near Barbican, and I used to walk up to Old Street, and somebody had gone around with giant Post-it notes, putting them on rectangular objects like electrical boxes, post boxes, old telephone boxes, giant Post-it notes that just said "mimic?" ? I thought that was genius.
That's great.
somebody has access to giant post-it notes, which means they're a god in my mind anyway, and a sense of humor, which is
and the time to
and the time to do. Yeah, but it is. I mean, it is Silicon Roundabout. It's
yeah
yeah,
make time.
make time.
So last question.
Yeah.
Each time we have a question from the previous guest to ask for this guest. So when I finish up, just to forewarn you, I should have told you at the beginning that I need a question for you for the next person. Obviously.
Okay.
So you're going to really be thinking about that when I ask you this one. But Mira asked, what advice would you have for the 8-9-year-old gamer Sasha, you, when you're 8 or 9? What if you could go back in time? If you're a looper and you could go back and talk to 8-9-year-old, what advice would you give to yourself? What would you say to yourself?
Well, it's a good one because
don't waste your life.
Yeah, well, put those funny-sided dice down because there's no future in it. It's a flash in the pan; it will never last.
Yeah.
I think the difference between what advice I wish I would have had and would have been able to absorb versus, the advice. So I think I wish I had been less precious about the games that I played in. I think I didn't play a lot. I didn't play as much as I would like to have because I, for a long time, I was quite precious about the system, the setting, the story, sometimes the people I was playing with, and things like that. And so I spent a lot of time reading and creating campaigns and worlds and things like that, and never really playing as much as I should have done. That said, I did. I mean, I played quite a lot, but I wish I played more. I don't think I'd have probably understood that at the age of 8 or 9. I think at the age of 8 or 9, I think I would say draw more. I think I'd have got that. Yeah. I think because my dad was he went to art school. He was ended up being an industrial designer, and on the odd occasion when we would do some drawing together, he would. I would say there's this thing called a carrying crawler, and sort of vaguely describe it, and he would draw it, and it would be amazing, and I would be like, I can't draw that well. I don't want to ever draw again. And I think I was inhibited by my own lack of ability, and I think if I had just said just keep at it, just keep doing some things that you love, even if you don't feel like you're very good at them.
Yeah, because that's how you get good at them, is by practice.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
I know in thinking about in my own life, there are some lessons you can't be told. You can only learn from experience.
Yeah.
Shape and mold you. And the best advice I could give myself, I wouldn't have listened to. You're quite right, because
I wouldn't have understood it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes.
There we go. So good stuff.
So do I have a clue who your next interview is going to be with, or is this a generic question?
There is a list and it's sort of semi-random who it's going to be. So just be nice with your question, I guess.
Okay, so my question would be.
That's good too. Or be mean. That's good too.
Yeah, well, because I love settings and background and the story, and I think my question would be, what if you were to design your own setting?
Yeah.
What would be in it?
That is a good question. That's a good question. I have to think about that myself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make it too hard and say what is it, because that's huge and difficult. But what elements are in there that would make it an attractive setting to you?
Yeah. What's important to you when you have a setting? What would you want there to be in there?
Yeah.
Good one. Lovely.
Cool.
Sasha, that's my last question. There's one last question. Is there anything today that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about or wanted to mention?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm really missing the club. I can't even pretend that it's one of those things where I was like, oh, I didn't know how much it meant to me until I stopped having it, because I did know how much it meant to me. I just, I hope everyone's doing all right, and we will we'll figure out a way of doing stuff, and maybe that's one of the things that we need to start talking about as a group is, as a broad club is how do we get some of the things that we get from going to the club without necessarily having to be even 2 meters apart.
We have hobby hangouts on Wednesdays and Sundays. Please, if you're there, and please, if you are struggling, if you're at home and you are struggling, do reach out to us.
Absolutely, yes, please. Yeah. Remember, right at the beginning when I said that I'm quite shy. I love talking to people. I'm not shy when I'm talking to people, but I'm very bad at making that first kind of contact, and I often don't necessarily think that people will be interested in talking to me. So just send me a message on Facebook or whatever, and about anything.
Absolutely. If there's anything you want to talk about, please do.
Yeah.
Send Sasha a message.
Yes. Yeah. Please do. Yeah.
Or me.
Yeah.
But that's why we're doing. That's why we're doing these videos. Is just we want to spread the club. We're all missing.
Exactly.
And who knows what's happening? We're all being alert now.
Yeah. Well,
Sasha?
I thought it was alert, so I spent half a day looking up what alert was.
And it's a type of Norwegian yak, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. And so I ordered some horns on the internet, and
dangerous, just googling.
Really,
that's a dangerous.
Well, that's it. Particularly when you're dyslexic. And figuring out how I could walk on 4 legs, but apparently no, we're meant to stay alert, but not too alert. Are you dead yet?
Stay in.
Stay in, but go out.
Go out.
Work really hard for your betters if you have to. If you don't have to, laugh and shorten. Yeah. Anyway.
Before we get too political.
Yes.
For a change.
Yeah. I do try and avoid that, but there is there's an A in the logo.
Yeah. But anything else you want to mention before we?
No, I think I've taken up lots of your time, and you have a lovely family to go and spend.
I do.
So why?
I just want to mention how lovely Aiden's hair was.
Well, Aiden's hair is always lovely. That's actually one of my favourite memories of the club is Aiden's.
I mean, I had to edit out from the previous. Gary had to actually edit from every single one. They've gone Aiden's hair. I'm like, obviously, can you come up with another memory?
Yeah, Aiden's hair. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
It is lovely.
Yeah. So yeah.
You'll hate this. Right.
See you, Aiden. See you, Andy.
Gonna go. Thank you again, and hopefully we'll see you at the club very soon, and
see you
at home at the club soon as well. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.